Switching tracks to Mumbai now, and the Bombay High Court will be taking up the pigeon feeding ban amidst calls for protests in support of and also against the ban. The Supreme Court had earlier refused to interfere with the Bombay High Court's orders directing the BMC in order to prosecute those feeding pigeons at Mumbai's Kaputar Khana. The Marathi samiti has given a call for a massive protest at Dada's Kaputar Khana today, demanding the authorities to continue the implementation of the ban of pigeon feeding and the closure of Kaputar Khanas as well. So that is something that is going to be taken up today, and that is also, from what we know, is there is going to be that huge protest at Dada. To know more on this, joining us from the Kaputar Khana is my colleague Saurabh Gupta. Also, we have Radhika Ramaswamy joining us as well. Saurabh, over to you first. Now, the order basically is in regard of looking at the larger picture and to safeguard children and the elderly.
Yes, what should have been a matter and debate over health concerns has also now taken a religious angle turn, and that's something that obviously is from the Jain community, which believes that feeding pigeons is a part of its, core practices, religious practices, and therefore they are saying that, the ban on feeding pigeons in public places, even if it is over health concerns, is curtailing their religious freedom. That's something that we see. But today there have been protests planned by those who, of course, are supporting the ban and those who are opposing the ban as well. There's a Jain monk who's announced that he would go on a fast on to death protest or follow the path of satyagraha if this ban is not reversed, while there are groups that have said that the BMC should continue the implementation of the ban. But in anticipation of those protests, massive security at the Dada Kaputar Khana, and of course, like you see, the pigeon feeding spot is covered with tarpaulin sheets, but the police have arrived here making announcements, and also a lot of police presence with a lot of police barricades as well. Policemen on duty deployed here to sort of ensure that nothing untoward happens during these protests. And this is something that we are seeing on the morning of the hearing in the Bombay High Court. The Bombay High Court will take up the case today and decide on what next to do, and of course my colleague Radhika would be covering that. But here at Dada, massive security in place for the protests planned. There are two groups. One, of course, supporting the ban on feeding of pigeons in public. There have been, remember, health concerns that have been flagged by health experts, but at this point there are also those who believe that banning pigeon feeding, especially at Kaputar Khanas like this one, which is an iconic part of Mumbai, is also a curtailment of religious freedom and a ban on what is considered a central tenet of Jain religious practices. So that's something that is also a debate, but massive policemen deployment and security arrangements here ahead of the protests planned at the Dada Kaputar Khana, which is one of the iconic public pigeon feeding spots in the city of Mumbai.
Right. Saurabh, of course, there are people, pro and there are a lot of pros and cons in this. As far as the implementation of the ban on the pigeon feeding and the closure of Kaputar Khanas are concerned, take us through the concerns that are being raised by those who have a problem with this Kaputar Khana.
Well, the concerns raised by those who say that pigeon droppings have massive health effects, and that is something that many doctors have also flagged. They say that, there's one is, of course, fibrosis of the lung, and that is due to the content that is there in pigeon droppings, especially once it dries up and it's, becomes a part of the particulate matter. It can lead to massive health issues, and they say that a considerable number of patients that they've treated are suffering from lung issues because of exposure to the particles of pigeon droppings. Now, at a place like this where there is a Kaputar Khana, the entire sort of skyline is filled with pigeons at this point, even though the Kaputar Khana has been closed, and this is something that we are seeing here on the ground. But like I said, health concerns are the primary reason why the Bombay High Court has, of course, gone ahead and allowed the BMC to continue with the ban on feeding pigeons in public places, especially iconic pigeon feeding spots like the Kaputar Khana and Dada.
Right, we also have our colleague Radhika joining us. Of course, Radhika, people are divided between those who have welcomed the action, citing health concerns linked with birds, and critics, including animal rights activists and members of the Jain community, for whom feeding of pigeons holds religious significance. We are talking about a Jain monk who's going on to, say that he'll go on to an indefinite fast, and that is, going to start from today against that decision to shut down the Dada Kaputar Khana. This is something, that's the kind of drastic action we've seen in the past as well, a week ago, where people were tearing down that trampoline and, the streets that were being put up.
That's right. It has become a controversial issue, no doubt about it. The society is divided as a result of BMC's decision and crackdown that we've been seeing over the last few days. As far as Bombay High Court's action is concerned, it is an important hearing in the court today. Bombay High Court will continue hearing the petitions filed by animal activists as well as members of the Jain community who had in fact gone against the decision of the BMC, had filed their petitions stating that this is a religious sort of a tradition, something that is of holds religious significance as far as their community is concerned, and therefore they want to continue feeding the pigeons. So there are both sides to it. Now we'll really have to see what the Bombay High Court will do. In the earlier hearings, Bombay High Court had said it will not reverse BMC's decision. Supreme Court had also said it will not interfere in civic body's decision. However, the court also going on to say if there is any sort of violation, FIR will be registered and action will be taken in case there is any sort of disrespect to the court's orders or to BMC's decision. Which is why when those protests happened, the court did not take it lightly. Besides that, the court is also looking into how a balance can be reached, which is why today the hearing is going to be important, as there could be a committee that will be perhaps formed to look into the matter and to come up with some sort of working mechanism as to how pigeons can be fed in a more controlled manner, which is why the Bombay High Court also told the BMC to sort of listen to all of the stakeholders involved, asked all of the animal lovers as well as Jain community members to apply to the BMC with their concerns and see if there can be any sort of feeding that can happen in a controlled manner. So some directives may be issued by the Bombay High Court today, but certainly the decision by the civic body may not be reversed.